Peter Thiel gave an impressive speech yesterday at the Bitcoin conference. Now, Peter Thiel, he's been talking about digital currencies for a long time. His speech started off literally with a video of him almost 20 years ago talking about an internet currency. Peter went on to found PayPal and ultimately has been thinking about these ideas for decades. And so to have him speak at the Bitcoin conference was pretty cool. He started out talking about the complexity of what is money. He then went on to even talk about many of Bitcoin's critics and talked about the fact that people like Warren Buffett, or Jamie Dimon, or Larry Fink, they just don't get it. But ultimately, the thing that caught my attention in Peter's speech was he said, don't compare Bitcoin to gold. Yes, it may act like digital gold in the beginning, but his thought process is that Bitcoin eventually could reach the equivalence with public equities. Now, Bitcoin today is just under $1 trillion. Public equities are about 115 trillion. And as he went slide by slide by slide, what you realize is that Peter Thiel thinks Bitcoin has a potential 100x upside, that one day Bitcoin could reach market cap parity with equities. That is an incredible point of view coming from one of the most famous investors in the world.
The real competitor for Bitcoin is not Ethereum. That's a payment system. It's not even gold. It's something like the S&P 500. It's the stock market as a whole, and this is the way Bitcoin trades every day. If the stocks go up, Bitcoin goes up. Now it's like a highly levered Nasdaq stock on a day-to-day basis, and that is sort of, in a sense, the real competitor. And the question is whether we're headed towards a kind of 1970s style world where it's higher inflation, more regulation, and even being, you don't want to be in a stock or bond, but even being, sorry, you don't want to be in cash or bond, but even being in a stock, you're effectively in something that's like a government-linked entity. Companies, woke companies, are sort of quasi-controlled by the government in a way that Bitcoin never will be. And in that sort of a world, I would submit that perhaps the way we should think of the Bitcoin to equity ratio, the benchmark for Bitcoin is not gold, but equities. And the question is, why can't there be parity between Bitcoin and equities? Why shouldn't we be talking about something more like 100 to 1? Which, of course, won't be as good as it sounds, because the fiat money will be worth a lot less and it'll be taxed pretty heavily and whatnot. But I think, I'm still hopeful that if Bitcoin goes up by a factor of 100, you'll make some money, a modest amount of money, in real terms.
Peter Thiel doesn't spend his time just thinking what everyone else is thinking. He fancies himself a contrarian. And as he thinks about how big Bitcoin could be, he's reinforcing the idea that many of us are likely underestimating not only how big, but how important Bitcoin could be for the world. To see Peter Thiel, somebody who's been thinking about virtual currencies for decades, come out on stage and explicitly state that he still thought that Bitcoin had 100+x upside was absolutely breathtaking for a room filled with 30,000 Bitcoiners. But price targets only matter so much. What was even more impressive was that Peter Thiel explicitly stating that he's a Bitcoin believer, that he sees the value of this digital currency, and he thinks it's an important tool for humanity as they pursue freedom in the coming decades. Peter Thiel's a Bitcoiner, and when Peter Thiel starts to talk about stuff like this, he's now trending on Twitter, and the mainstream media is paying attention. We're lucky to have Peter on our side, and I think that his point about Bitcoin's market cap reaching parity with public equities is one that we should all consider. Hey you, did you like this video? Great, we make 5 of them a day and post them here on this channel. Make sure you're subscribed, like the video, and see you next time.